Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today this is lecture number 18, and in this lecture we will discuss about concept of budget, purpose of budget, advantages of budget, functions of budget, and phases of budgeting. So we will discuss in detail today, and before starting this lecture I will request you, all of you, that if you didn't still subscribe my channel, so please subscribe it for more lectures or updates. First of all, we see that what is budgeting. Remember that budget is the heart of management system, and almost in all organizations budget has its most importance. It is the fiscal interpretation of the educational program and services. Therefore, expenditure reductions or inability to generate revenues stipulated in the budget document impact upon the quality and quantity of educational program and services. The budget as a planning device is future oriented. As a management device during a fiscal period, remember that here fiscal means that June to June, you can say that June of this year to June of next year. So this period is called fiscal year. So its purpose is control to ensure that expenditures are authorized and do not exceed money available. Overall, it budgets is a disciplined approach to handling schools expenditures. So there is not a subject today that receives as much attention in all aspects of an individual's daily life as does budgeting. Moreover, we can say that whether a person is planning the future needs of himself or his family, or whether he as head of an institution or organization is planning the revenues necessary to meet expenses in future and earn a profit. So the most efficient instrument to assist and guide him is the budget. So that's why budgeting is the means of coordinating the combined efforts of an organization into a plan of action based upon past performance and governed by rational judgments of factors that are expected to influence the orientation of the organization in the future. Budgeting is neither just control nor just forecasting. The objectives of budgeting are planning, coordination, and control. Without coordination provided by budgeting department, heads may follow courses that are seen to be beneficial for their particular offices, but which are not beneficial from the point of view of the organizations. Coordination is therefore necessary for successfully conducting the operations of the organizations. Plans of various district education officers, divisional district of education, and regional heads needs to be known as prerequisite to formulate the best plans for the province. Each district or division cannot operate at its best indecently. The most widely known use of budget in itself is therefore control. Now, what is the concept of budget? First of all, we will see that what is budget? What does it mean? So in order to have a clear concept of budget, some selected definitions are given, like a budget is a plan of financial operation embodying as estimate of the proposed expenditure for a given period and purpose that and the proposed means of financing them. A government budget is a plan for financing government activities during a fixed period, prepared and submitted by a responsible executive to a representative body whose approval and authorizations are necessary before the plan can be executed. A budget may also be defined as a plan of activities in the time period relating their costs to resources available. A government budget has also been defined as a statement of estimated receipts and expenses for a fixed period and an authorization to collect revenues and to incur emptiness. According to Fremgen, a budget is a comprehensive and coordinated plan expressed in financial terms for the operation of a system or organizations for a specific period to achieve the predetermined goals. Now, what is the purpose of budget? The main purposes of budgeting are as follows, like to establish in advance the objectives or end results of the budget period. Second objective, that is to provide the means of coordinating the activities of the various departments in the organization. The third objective is to provide a period-to-period basis of comparisons to show whether the plans are being realized, and if not realized, indicate what changes must be made if current objectives are to be achieved. To serve as a basis of the orderly management or public funds, this is another purpose of the budget. Now, there are some advantages of budget. Like in the context of education planning, budgeting is the translation of an education plan in terms of rupees or money required during the plan period, and the budget is considered to be the first step in the implementation of education plans. Briefly, some of main advantages of the budgeting are like the action based in budgeting. The second one is cooperation is secured in the entire organization. Policies are adequately established. Program activities are related to expected or available resources and economic conditions. Balanced programs are developed. Operations are controlled and waste is prevented. Then weaknesses in the organizations are revealed. Now, there are some functions of budget. In brief, there are three main functions of the budgeting. Those are to serve as an instrument. The first one, that is of providing the operational cost time framework for activities to be implemented. The second one is that for delegation of implementations authority. Third one is of controlling and evaluating performance. In countries with mixed economies, the general government budget is the most powerful instrument available to implement policy decisions affecting the economy. Some fiscal functions are commonly recognized as given below. Like the first one is the stabilization function. So this is concerned with the aggregation to size of the budget and its impact on the major macroeconomic variables. The volume of production, saving, investment, and balance of trade. This role is vital in the general management of the economy and sets the climate within which the development effort proceeds. An example of action in pursuit of this function would be government decisions to eliminate or reduce the size of the budget deficit in order to reduce inflationary pressures on the economy. The other function, that is distributive function. If the government considers that the original distribution of income is unsatisfactory, so it can take steps to alter it. It may also adjust the burden of taxations on different groups, and it may provide certain goods and services free or at subsidized prices, and it may take income transfer payments such as payment of sickness and unemployment benefits or the provisions of the child allowances. Allocation function. If the government considers that pattern of production of goods and services generated by market forces is unsatisfactory, it may influence the pattern by a variety of interventions including taxations and subsidy and direct provisions by government agencies. The government found it was necessary to stimulate at least some direct provisions. Sometimes fourth function is also listed. The other function, that is taxations. It means that this should not really be considered as a primary objective of the public sector, since taxation is not an end in itself, but a means to raising sufficient funds so as to allow government nevertheless. The way in which taxes are levied has an important effect on income distribution, and that total sum raised a major component of the entire budget revenue. Now, what are the phases of budgeting? Budgeting, this is the process of preparing targets, and it has several phases at a district, divisions, provincial and federal levels. So these phases are: number 1, in phase 1, identification of the program, projects or activities to be accomplished during the budget period. For example, at Allama Iqbal Open University, the budget for the year 2000-2001 is to be prepared. At this first phase, an effort will be made to identify the courses to be developed, printed and launched during the budget period July 2000 to June 2001. In phase 2, identification of resources in terms of manpower, money, machine and materials. So these are to be expressed either in such units as man, machine, hours, days, weeks, months, or in terms of actual numbers of men or machine and quantities or material. For example, taking the previous examples of the Allama Iqbal Open University, we shall describe the number of credits or units for each course, the time spent by the course coordinator in the development of a unit or course, other facilities needed for the development of the course in terms of typist, months, the time needed for its printing, etc. The next phase, that is phase 3. In this phase, costing of resources, the budget is fundamentally a financial statement, hence costing becomes the most important activity in the budgeting. For example, taking the examples of Allama Iqbal Open University, in this third phase, we can calculate the cost of the course production under various headings. Let it say we are taking the heading of the development of the course. For this, we shall first determine the honorarium being paid to the unit writer. The total number of the units will be multiplied by a normal. Honorarium paid to a unit writer in order to calculate the total cost to be incurred on the development of the course. Other expenditure expected to be incurred on convening various meetings will be taken into consideration, so that the needs for some foreign consultancy will also be anticipated, and the expenditures likely to occur in that case will be estimated. Likewise, the costing exercise will be done on all other activities, programs or projects identified in phase 1. Other heading in the case of Allama Iqbal Open University can be printing of the course materials, transportations, examinations, regional services, production of radio and television, etc. In phase 4, there is a presentation of budget. The budget is formulated according to the budgetary guidelines issued from time to time by the proper authorities. The University Grants Commission of the Ministry of Education in the case of Allama Iqbal Open University. In phase 5, obtaining approval of the appropriate authority. So this final stage of budgeting involves piloting the budget through the series of budget hearing. It is at this stage that the budget is subjected to the views that and compromises and adjustments are made. Thank you very much. Again, I will request you that subscribe this channel if you still didn't subscribe, and keep on watching for more videos on different lectures regarding leadership and management. So thank you very much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.